This is Evangelist George McTire of the Word of God Ministry, and I'm here today to inform you on some issues that we need to consider when it comes down to who to vote for this November election for president. And in order for me to relay the message as it should be done, I want to take you back to the fact that you will remember that at some point in time after President Trump was elected, he was accused of what is known as a quid pro quo with the leaders of the Ukraine for some reason to help get rid of or investigate the so-called, as the Democrats put it, false narrative of Joe Biden's son working or being a member of a board of a power company in the Ukraine and was making $3 million or something like that a year. I believe that was the number. It might have been higher than that. Don't think right exactly what it was. But anyway, the bottom line was that here is the son of Joe Biden, who's running for president, being a member of the power company board in a country that is essentially was at the time was a corrupt government run country. And here Joe Biden's son was on the board, even though he had no experience in how power companies or things work like that. And people were saying, at least Donald Trump and Republicans were saying, that there's some sort of action going on there that is some sort of payoff coming through Joe Biden's son to evidently get the Obama administration and Joe Biden, who was vice president at the time, to get special favors from the United States through Joe Biden and Barack Obama. So they were using Joe Biden's son, Hunter, as a middleman or whatever the case may be. Well, as you would know, or I have said many times before, that any time, and this still goes true today, and that is any time you hear the Democratic Party and liberals accusing a Republican of doing something, it is a 100% guarantee. You can take it to the bank. The truth is the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The Democrats are the ones that are actually doing it, and they are probably doing it 100 times worse than what they accused the Republicans, or in this case Donald Trump, of doing. Now, for those of you that don't know what a quid pro quo is, it is a situation where one person wants another person to do something for them, and in return they will give this person what the person may want or need. It's not a blackmail type of thing where somebody said, well, if you don't do it, I'm going to expose you. It's not that type of thing. It's a thing where when somebody says to you, well, we want you to do this, you want something from us, so what we want you to do is we want you to do this, And if you do this, we will give you what you want. And consequently, the flip side of that is you want something from us. We will give it to you if you do this. If you don't do it, then you won't get what it is you want from us. That is what is known as a quid pro quo. Now, having said that, fast forward that to this first presidential election debate. About 44 minutes into the debate, Joe Biden and Donald Trump got into a verbal I'll just say altercation. It wasn't really attack necessary, but Donald Trump, Joe Biden had accused Donald Trump of not being as economically astute or messing up the economy worse, or whatever the case may be. He was attacking Trump's economic record and so forth. And during this exchange, Donald Trump brought up Joe Biden's son getting all this money from the Ukraine, even though the Ukraine, even though Hunter Biden didn't have any experience to be on the board in the first place, but he's on the board of a country that is essentially corrupt at that time. And Joe Biden says that that's not true. Well, I'm going to play for you the clip of that exchange, and you'll hear Joe Biden consistently say that Donald Trump essentially is lying.
About the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade deficit with Mexico.
China ate your lunch, down 18%. China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars, to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also, while we're at it, why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do with Burisma to deserve $183,000?
You've asked your question, let him answer.
None of that is true.
Oh, really? He didn't get
No,
$3.5 million?
Mr. President,
totally,
Mr. President, please.
Totally discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
well, wait, he didn't get $3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
he got $3.5 million.
That is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr. President, it's an open discussion, please.
It's a fact.
Well, you have raised an issue. Let the Vice President answer.
Discredited.
Did Burisma pay him $183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Mr. President,
my son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Mr. President, let him answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
By who?
And
the media?
By everybody. Well, by the media, by our allies, by the World Bank, by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even the people who testified under oath.
So let me ask you this, Joe.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you.
He got $3.5 million from Moscow.
He testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd
honorably.
like to know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list of the people who testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't do a good job. With you,
go ahead. Wait a minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me.
Hey, let me just say, Joe.
No. I'm Mr. President.
$3.5 million, Joe.
That is simply
Why did he deserve $3.5 million from Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's
My
already...
family,
No, let him go.
my
Let-
family
already
lost
wrote.
a fortune by
Okay.
coming down and helping
Go
us
ahead.
with
Go ahead,
government.
sir.
And that's such a...
they're right
that's
here.
Mr.
That's
President.
such
Every
a great...
single one of them lost
This
a
is not
fortune
about
President.
my
coming and
family or
helping
his
us with
family. It's
government.
about your family,
They
the
didn't
American
collect
people.
$3.5 million
He
for
doesn't.
nothing.
That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about
you
here.
should
All right,
It's
that's
not
the, end
about
of
here.
that's the end of the
Shouldn't have
segment.
taken the money.
We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well,
Vice
it's a very-
President,
but Chris,
no,
can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
No,
That's a
He
good
stood
thing.
up.
No,
he stood up,
the answer to
and
the
he
question is
threatened
no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you don't
That
get rid of
is
the press.
absolutely
You know what?
not
Stop.
true.
You're on tape
You're-
doing it.
you're gonna
You're on
have-
tape.
True.
Gentlemen,
Is-
I hate to raise
Chris,
my voice,
he's
but
on
it seems
tape.
to be, why should I?
So there you have it. You have Donald Trump questioning Joe Biden about his son getting this $3.5 million and asking for what purpose was he getting it, because he didn't have any experience to be on the board of this power company that is a government-run power company, and the administration in the Ukraine at the time was labeled as being corrupt. So you got the son of a sitting vice president on the board of a power company controlled by the government that happens to be corrupt. The Biden son has no experience in power company, so what was he doing on the board in the first place? Well, when you have a situation like that, that screams of there's some sort of payoff or money laundering going on to try to hide the fact of something more sinister is actually going on, but they're trying to pass it off and try to make it look like, it's totally innocent. Well, what happened about this time after Donald Trump got elected, a new government was forming, and they had basically gotten rid of or started trying to get rid of this corruption that's going on in government. Well, so when the new government took over, part of their investigations were naturally trying to figure out why is the son of a sitting vice president in the United States on the board of this government-run power company. What is his purpose here? What is he doing here? Is there some kind of payoff we don't know about or whatever? So they started an investigation. Now remember, I said a quid pro quo is when you want somebody to do something, or somebody might want something from you, and you say, well, in order for me to do this, or if you want me to do this for you, you have to do that, or you have to do this, and then we'll do what you want us to do. If you don't want to do it, if you don't do it, then we aren't going to provide you with the money. Now here, the Ukraine was looking for money from the United States because they had formed a new government and things like that, and they wanted to investigate all of this corruption. And part of this corruption had to do with Joe Biden's son. This is where the Democrats come up and said that Donald Trump was actually trying to get the Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden's son so that he could have something on Joe Biden in case Joe Biden decided to run for president in 2020. Now the thing is, during this debate, you've heard time and time again that Joe Biden was saying that what Donald Trump was saying about his son was not true, right? And like I said, part of this thing had to do with the idea that I told you anytime that the Democrats are accusing a Republican of doing something wrong, you can rest assured that it actually is that the Democrats are doing a lot worse than what they accuse the president of doing, or sometimes 100 times worse or whatever. And so fast forward again, a little bit ahead, but like I say, Donald Trump brought this up during the debates. Joe Biden denied it. But the thing is this, the quid pro quo. You remember what I told you what the quid pro quo is? Listen to what Joe Biden, who at the time is the sitting vice president, goes on TV and he says this.
Two things here that are just blowing my mind. First of all, Joe Biden is the king of the quid pro quo. They should be investigating Joe Biden and his dealings, his son dealing in the Ukraine on a gas company or oil and gas company that he had no experience on, getting paid $50-some thousand a month, while his father was in charge of Ukraine as the vice president of the United States. He gets on television and says this.
There was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
In that video you just watched, you have a demand. You have money involved. You have a threat involved. And you have action being taken because he was going to withhold loan guarantees, $1 billion of loan guarantees. If that's not quid pro quo, I don't know what it is. And then we're going to go through and talk about what they claim that Trump did. They are claiming that Donald Trump withheld money from the Ukraine. I mean, mind you, it's not illegal to withhold money from government entities. It's really not. Now, what you cannot do is be proven to withhold money for you to do something for me because I got your back and you do this for me and I do this for you. You can't do that. That is a quid pro quo. That is you using your power and abusing your power. But the president of the United States did not do that. Anybody with a brain that do any research or look up anything knows that President Trump did not do that. The president of the United States was suspicious of the Ukraine being corrupt because they interfered in 2016 election and they were anti-Trump all the way up until today, or until the time they got the new president, Zelensky. Now, President Trump wanted to withhold money, which they never knew about. Nobody ever knew about until it was leaked to the media. He had withheld money from them to see if they were going to be a government without corruption. The money was held for like 50 days, was given back to them.
Well, there you have it. You have Joe Biden himself explaining what he did when it came down to the situation of him telling this new government that was taking place to replace the corruption that was part of the old government system that was investigating. They had a prosecutor that was looking into all of this corruption, and naturally part of that corruption meant they had to investigate Hunter Biden's part in this corrupted system. And so they had this prosecutor investigating it. Trump knew about it. And Trump essentially was saying at the time that if he got in office, he wanted to see whether or not this government had actually gotten rid of the corruption, or were they trying to pull some kind of a scheme. That's why my source here that you just heard was explaining what Donald Trump did or was doing that the Democrats called a quid pro quo, which it really wasn't. What it was is, before Donald Trump was going to release some money to the Ukraine, he wanted to make sure that the corruption in government had been completely done away with before they sent the money over there. And see, the Democrats were calling that a quid pro quo. But there was no demand from Donald Trump to the Ukraine to do anything to get the money, because the money, from what I understand, had already been approved. But you did hear Joe Biden say that when he was over there, he told the new leaders of the Ukraine that unless they stop this investigation, and basically fired the prosecutor, the one that was doing the investigating, that the Ukraine would not get the money. And the Ukraine, the Ukraine government president, I guess, or so, said, well, you can't do that. The president, which at the time was Barack Obama, had said it, and Joe Biden cut him off, said, well, call him and ask him. He says, if you don't fire this prosecutor, you're not going to get the money. And as you saw, my source said, and I said the same thing, that is the classic identifiable evidence of a quid pro quo. But as I said, in the debates, Joe Biden stood up there in front of on national TV and denied everything. Said it was a lie. It didn't happen. And yet still here he is on, you just saw what he was saying and what he was doing. This, my friends, is classic Democratic strategy. Always deny everything, accuse the other people of doing it first, so that people will throw their suspicions toward the person that you're actually accusing. And that way, if the person turns around and says, well, Joe Biden was doing it, then you would be thinking, oh, well, see, President Trump got accused of it first. Now he's trying to throw the blame on Joe Biden for doing something wrong and the Democrats for doing something wrong. Well, see, that's the game, that's the narrative and things that the Democratic Party plays by. You know, you can think about that. If you were a little kid like I was, and we would be out sometime in a vacant lot or something, throwing rocks or playing baseball or something like that, and like a kid, one of the kids might throw a rock and miss who they were throwing the rock at, and the rock might hit somebody's window, or hit, it might be playing baseball, hit a baseball, and it goes over the fence, and something hits somebody's window, and the person come out and ask, well, who did this? And like a lot of kids, most of the time they will scatter. But sometimes the kids would stay there, and when the person come out and said who did it, the one that actually did it would accuse somebody else of doing it, just to get the blame off of themselves and on this other person, whether the person was still there or not. And that way, if the person that was being accused of something said, "No, I didn't do it. He was doing it." Well, see now, the person's gonna be suspected. Oh yeah, well this is what happened is he did it, and now when his friend said that he did it, now he's gonna try to deflect the blame. Yeah, he actually did it. Well, see, that's what the Democrats are playing. They playing little childhood games with this, accusing somebody of something first, so that when later on you find out that actually that the Democrats or the Democrats were actually guilty of this, first thing you're gonna be saying is what? Oh, the Republican Party trying to accuse the Democrats of something because they done got caught in something, this, that, and other. No, that's the way the Democratic Party plays this game, and you all fall for it. That's why I'm saying, you vote for this man for president if you want. Like I say, he's lying to you right from the get-go. The evidence is there. But if you want to go on and elect him, fine. Whatever happens after that, just remember, you were warned.